City Circle team.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Monday, June 24th, 1:16 here on the West Coast. That means it's 4:16 out east by Bennett. Ben, how are we doing today?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Dealing with some summer trading. Market's looking a bit choppy here at highs. Looking like, time to do less. Seems like it's time to do less after a big run. I'll get into my trades for a minute. I got some big risk-off signals in my personal trading. I'll go over them in a sec. But market's grinding higher. It seems very sluggish at these points. The market's being driven, primarily by semiconductors, big tech, and we're kind of seeing that money rotate away from there slowly, into things like energy and other sectors. We need to see rotation really badly, but I'm personally not seeing a lot of feisty action that has me very active right now. I'm kind
hmm
of saving my risk for, when I see something juicy, because I got those risk off signals. Anything you want to get into before I hop into the charts?
No, no, go for it.
Why? All right, so I got the SPY up here, S&P. Um, made new highs on this burst, and this is now we're getting to very overbought levels where we're not seeing a ton of participation in the indices. And I think I got a lot of information today. So I kind of got out of the market. When was it? Around like these days. So there was a little upside push I missed, but I'm fine with that because I'm not seeing the action in individual stocks or the names I'm trading. And then today, we've been holding this 8-day simple moving average. We pivot off in the morning, and then we sharply turn lower end of day. Go to a 15-minute chart. That's the sharp turn lower there. And it looks like we're at least going to fill this gap right here to this around 537 area, and we'll kind of see what we get. And broadly, I think I saw you kind of had a similar message
hmm
on your newsletter
hmm
where, I think this uptrend in the market is absolutely fine. I think we got some beastie action ahead. I think things are looking good on the weekly chart and on the longer term basis. But I'm seeing that we're getting overheated, and I would love us to just chop, 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 back to this 530 here. I think that would really set us up for July, August, some great trading,
hmm
typically great months in election years, especially. So that's what I'm looking for. So I'm very risk off right now. I'm letting things trade. I have no huge conviction either way. And I'll go over what kind of happened that made me go to risk off or
hmm
kind of. So we had a lot of sectors going. We crushed this move right here. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. This first pullback move, where we pulled back and it looked like we might go for correction mode, and then buyers came in that Friday. The next day they came in, supported it, those intraday hourly levels. Then we had a little inside day, which led to the breakout. 4 days of sideways led to the next move higher, and then we're just sluggish and a bit overbought here. And market needs to consolidate a little bit. So I was in a bunch of names. I was in this EMPH mostly because First Solar was turning these solar stocks up. So this was looking amazing, and then it just gets to these new highs and completely fails. This First Solar, kind of, trying to consolidate here, but what it do? It tried to make this next leg higher here, and then failed. And this is a complete momentum flag. This isn't like a very well drawn out flag, like a base or anything like that. This is
hmm
like pure momentum in the market. So if we know the market is acting on this kind of momentum backdrop, we need to see it continue. We can't see these boop boop, break out and completely squat back and give the move back moves. So I was in that EMPH, had some good stock here, gaps up, completely fails. This RKT, I bought it this day right here. We get that pop from the Fed day. I end up selling half, and I'm like, wow, this might break this level and really start going. It gave a burst to new highs and then just completely gave back the move, which is another clue of just like, oh, okay, the underlying strength isn't really there. This BECN, same thing. I got long in this consolidation here, like just a beautiful consolidation. It bursts higher, breaks to new highs, and then completely gives the move back. Same pattern we're seeing here. This Reddit, we're killing this Reddit. We killed this move here, and then we were loading up for the breakout move here. after, we've got this trend line, creates a lower high here, and then begins that burst higher, and then, gives the entire move back. And it's just a theme I've been seeing in all these risk names. And lastly is this coin. It looks like it's got this nice base going on. It's about to break the new highs. And then what happens? Kind of gives that false breakout move, then comes back. So, the market is still a stone's throw away from highs. But this exact situation happened to me in late March, where my P&L did that burst higher and then kind of gave it back. And I went cash. And then in this area, I loaded up on stocks again, thinking, oh, it's just a fake out move. We're going to go back higher off this quick pivot line and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't realize the rotation that was happening in the underlying market. I'm seeing that right now. And what notably happened during this time was we saw a huge shift to energy. And now today we kind of got confirmation we're seeing that shift to energy once again. If I had recognized that earlier back then and started trading energy names to the long side instead of being more stubborn about semiconductors and the things that have been leading the market up to that point to have another run, I would have done a lot better. And then mid-March, I went draw down for a few weeks. I made it back, and now I'm just kind of sitting cash now. But we're kind of seeing like this weekly chart on this energy is looking pretty phenomenal now. And these are probably the names we start focusing on. There's a few names I'm looking at otherwise. This DIX looks pretty good. But these names aren't like breaking higher with huge volume. We're seeing like very low volume movers, move these things higher. We're just not seeing those huge breakout moves. So it's got me a bit cautious. Again, what I would really love to see is just, a little weakness out of the market, but just come down and test this 530, 525 area, test this longer term trend line. And then that's kind of the signal I'll look at to get long. I don't want to kill my mental capital. I don't want to overtrade. What this, and then last thing before I send it back, what this pull in taught me, where I was kind of overtrading to the long side, was the importance of mental capital and how you really, really want to save it till when you're really confident in your executions. Especially at a year like this where we have a lot of gains year to date. We've got our piggy bank stuffed because there's been such great trading all year. Now it's like I don't see it there. I don't need to force it. And I'm just keeping it as simple as that. So waiting for better action. I'm going to type up some energy names tonight, see if there's some more positive entries in that land. But I'm seeing a lot of signs to be risk off. So I'm just being risk off. I'd rather be risk off now at highs, I'm thinking, than if we pull back 3-4%, I'm just loaded. I just take those losses. Then when the market's ready to pivot, I'm going to be ready to throw on risk. So that's kind of my thoughts. What are you thinking over there?
So let me share the screen. So yeah, you mentioned the newsletter. I'll show this Charlie quick. So what I was trying to explain yesterday is just, again, these trend lines. We've got the macro trend line, and just the trend lines have been getting steeper and steeper over the past few weeks.
Hold control and press plus like twice.
Here we go. Yeah. So again, there we go. Yeah, I'm like, anyways. So yeah, I was just trying to articulate these trend lines, and the steeper that they get, the angle that they, that you can see the steepness, each one gets steeper and steeper. Eventually, these trends can't, continue, especially when even a stock goes like vertical. Think of a GME going to 400, like that move can't sustain itself. It has to kind of revert back to some type of trend line.
Real quick. Yeah, there's a saying, parabolic moves do not correct sideways. They fucking break.
Yeah, that's why, again, when we almost want those like trending, like 45-degree angle markets where they can you can keep that stair step higher, where when it starts to increase, it's just hard to sustain those moves. And that's always, again, trying to draw them out, just following, 1, 2, just trying to, visually show them as easy as possible. And my main point with that is that, again, the Qs have been leading, the S&P has been not that far behind the Qs, and like the Dow 30 has been kind of asleep at the wheel amongst these big three major markets. And my thought was, if we do see some rotation in the short term out of the Qs, we see some rotation maybe out of the S&P, maybe there's some rotation back to the biggest, the Dow 30, the big 30 names. And we saw, again, no really firework moves. Again, the Q's down 1% today, S&P pretty much break even on the day. But the Dow was, started to push up through this base. And we do have this kind of all-time high breakout through this 400 or Dow 40,000. So it's just good, it's interesting, it's good to see that rotation there. And we're seeing it, like you mentioned, we're seeing a lot of rotation back into energy names. They had a phenomenal run all year up until April, a very orderly pullback in this breakdown stage. And we'll just see, it's hard to chase like after today's action.
Oh, yeah.
It trade a little bit more sideways and base out before, very rarely do we see these like V bottoms with like sectors with the stock. It's a little different, but sector wise, it's like hard to expect, this to come out of the sector. In reality, it's going to, you kind of see more that horizontal action, which we're kind of seeing in the REITs. I'll pull it up in a second, but we see more basing and then eventually you get that pushback. You can actually even see it right here. What they did back in, late 23 into 24. So you had the breakdown, you had that base form, and then you had the breakout stage higher. So we're seeing, very orderly, from the stages that we focus on. Again, financials, very strong. Keeping a close eye on this breakout through 52-week highs in the financial names. The Goldmans, a lot of those names just been on fire. Again, the REITs, this was like the example I'm saying with energy. If we shift out of that breakdown stage, the REITs recently have been basing the last few weeks now. So it's, good to see. And then just name-wise, again, I'm still sitting in this T-Mobile versus weekly low versus 171. Still in this QRVO. Big shouts out to Tim. He called this one out a few weeks ago. Really did not have this name on my radar that much, just through kind of a buy stop in, and really nice textbook, break out of that base. And for now, just keeping a stop versus 110 with the goal to ideally try to take some profits at this 120 on a retest, or if it pushes through. I've been in this Intel that is a little like watching paint dry. I got ticked in on, what was this? I guess Wednesday. I had a buy stop through this 30 or through 31, and it's opened pretty much high a day. So my buy stop order. This is like sometimes the downside to a buy stop is if it opens above your trigger, it's going to get you in. But if the move is the buyers aren't there, I pretty much marked the top that day. I pretty much marked, my cost base is like 31.40, and my stop was, it's 30. So these last 4 or 5 days, gets up to 31.50, pulls back in, and it's just like, just really watching paint dry. But my biggest focus moving forward, and not today, not tomorrow, but just this Amazon, this is a weekly chart here. We're going back to 2021, when Amazon, was, the leader of the market in a sense. Since then, it's had, 50% retracement. It's back at highs now. And you can just see how much tighter it is here. We go back in 2022, you're buying, 190 versus 160 in this, this big range. We can just see how tight it's been getting every time this time around. It's just been getting tighter and tighter week after week. So it probably still needs to pull in some more and maybe even push below 180. But again, my focus is buying it through 190. I don't want to buy it on the way down. I want to buy it back up through 190. And that's my biggest focus. Again, all this Merck, again, focusing on the kind of these Dow 30 names, MRK, farmer name, very textbook flag at highs, almost kind of looks a little similar to like what T-Mobile was looking like prior to its breakout. Again, would not expect in a name like Merck this dramatic break, but very textbook flag at highs. Again, that's kind of been my focus on this Intel, but again, Intel's been very weak broadly. So Merck, I'm expecting rotation to the Dow 30 names. Merck is going to be the one that catches like the benefit or the wind of this. Intel, it's a tight base. It's super weak. I'm not expecting, this dramatic move for this thing to, retest highs. It's like, this is just like a tight risk trade. I'm risking, $1 in it. If I can get $3-4 out of it, get some kind of move to 33, that would be a win for this particular trade. Where Merck, much stronger, sky's the limit in a sense. And just to kind of wrap up yesterday, and to kind of give this lesson, I was talking about it in the chat this morning. One of our longtime members invited me over to his father-in-law's yesterday, and Sheikh, you probably get this as well when you're invited somewhere. They're like, "You're the stock guy. We want to talk about stocks for you." Oh, yeah. And I've learned over the years to let them bring up what they want to talk about first before I shit on it, the name, or whatever the opinion is. But this guy was all in on Siri. like life savings. Again, Siri is a name I traded back in '08. You know, I remember buying it like 5-6 cents and selling it at 7 cents and thinking I was like a genius for making 20% a day. And, you know, when it was on the verge of bankruptcy and like Howard Stern was like bailing him out, like personally. So he's been in it since '08. And this guy,
Holy shit, really?
life savings, he's been in since '08. He's expecting to go back to $60 a share, which I would play Russian roulette with a gun with a two-chambered gun, and I play Russian roulette before this thing ever hit $60 a share. Like, there's no way this name is in $60 a share. But all of his reasonings was every dumb money lesson in the book. It was like hindsight bias, confirmation bias, like every bias you could possibly have, this guy had. You know, it had to go, you know, the reverse split was a good catalyst when I explained that only weak companies do that to prop their shares up to make them look more appealing. It was still good news. He even had one point that like listening to the radio and listening to commercials was like a benefit. He's like, who listens to Spotify? Like, no commercials? Who doesn't want commercials? And I was like, are you?
No way. No way.
No, like he was saying this like ear to ear grinning with so much like, and I was like, are you fucking with me? Like, I don't know if this is a joke. Like,
strong American consumer right there.
He's like, yeah, like, you got it. He's like, don't you use Siri? I'm like, I like disinstalled it out of my car. Like, I just have Bluetooth. I don't like, I've never used Siri, you know, and everything. He's like, the guy was just, you know, it's going to $60 a share. His reasoning because he had 100,000 shares. Nice. And the crazy part was, again, Siri this year has gotten destroyed. You know, it's down pretty significantly from wherever this high was, $8 a share. So he's down. If he's been buying it since '08, you know, his cost basis is not 5 cents. Like his cost basis is probably $6, $7, you know, $5-6. He's down probably 40%. And this guy's in the pool like this, you know, couldn't be. Yeah.
That one day, July 20th, 2023. Mm-hmm. It was a man up.
Oh yeah, he was up. He was up. But even I didn't even look at, like, again, we're in this guy's pool. So I don't have like my phone. I can't pull up the chart. I'm like, oh, Siri's what, like $2 a share? Because it's just been that since literally '08. And he's like, well, yeah. How'd you know it was $2.70 a share? And I was like, okay. He's like, but it can't break above 8. And I was like, look, above 8 is probably the time you'd want it, even though I wouldn't buy this thing. My life depend on it, but it's like above 8 is the breakout. Like, just wait till it gets to 8. And if not, don't sink your life savings in this thing. And he's like, it's going back to 60. Like, it's a buy. He sounds like Kramer. He's like, buy. I'm like, oh my God. But his daughter, my buddy's fiance, was also in Siri like years ago. And I fixed her like retirement account and I forgot about it. And I remember going through her positions and it's like S&P, she's up 50%. And I'm like, Siri? I'm like, what the hell are you doing with Siri? I'm like, this stock is garbage. And she's like, oh, whatever. She's like, we can sell it. And so we got rid of it. And then she told me yesterday, I'm like, oh my God, I remember doing that like 2 years ago, selling all that's like random Siri stock. And I was telling her, I'm like, you can't talk him out of this. Like, he is so locked in with this. Yeah. Bad news was good news. Good news. He's like, the short sellers are going to squeeze it. Like, they're making it cheap so they can flip it and get long. I'm like, dude, no one gives a fuck about this company. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's not happening. Like, you know,
they're out to get me in my Sirius stock.
Yeah, he's like, I'll never sell my shares to anyone. Like, I was like, oh man, like,
isn't it crazy how now, because of like the GameStop and all that thing, and it had the sick run, you know, no hate on it, but like now, like, people think like never selling and never realizing a profit is like, that's how you know you're strong.
Oh, it was brutal. Like, in my head, I'm like, all right, since '08, he put like 150 grand into it. If he put it into the S&P, even his thing, they pay I think they pay a dividend. Yes, they pay like 3%. So he's getting 2 cents a quarter a share or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I get like $2,000 a quarter, this and that. And in my head, I'm like, all right, if you would have bought the S&P, the 150 grand from '08 till now is about 400 or 500 grand. You know, the market's more than doubled, you know, 350, 400 grand. Even though the yield on the S&P is half of what this yield is, your value is 3x. So like, you're getting 2 grand from this dog of a company. You'd be getting 6,000 a quarter from the S&P plus the appreciation. But the one good thing he said was, he's like, I really like, he liked also Virgin Galactic. Oh God, another fucking just dead company. But the one it's like brutal, you know. And this is one he's going to look at. Like, it's going to go back to 800. It's like, no,
it's really tough for me to hear people talk about everything being a bubble right now, knowing the shit like this that went on a few years ago.
Yeah,
look at this company.
Yeah. And so like these are things where like
did they reverse split?
Yeah, they did it recently.
Oh, they must have.
20, yeah, 20 for 1.
1,200 a share. What the?
Yeah. So that's what he was saying with Series. Like, yeah, they're gonna reverse split it. I'm like, that is the worst thing a company can do. Like that's just there's no much more weakness in the name than a reverse split. And he's like, no, it's gonna be good. And I was like, oh God. But anyways, his one good name, which he does not own, is Amazon. And I'm like, Amazon is great. I'm like, fucking sell Siri. Like
buy 200 grand worth of fucking.
Yeah, like give it a year, you'll double your money here. And he was like, even if it goes to zero, I don't care. People tell me it's stupid because it's a great investment. I'm like, oh God, like it's pretty much going to zero. Like you're like every. I'm like, I want to just give him like the dumb money book and be like, please, like I'll pay you to read this book because he had every dumb money fallacy. He was just like ding 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 with just ear to ear grin and his daughter was telling me she's like he does this like once a week. Like we couldn't talk. I didn't say one word for 45 minutes straight. Yeah. He just went on. And I'm like, I get it. Like, just get it out. Like, just tell me what you want to tell me. Whatever I say, you're not gonna listen anyway. So just tell me your pitch or whatever. And she was just like, he does this every week. He does this and that. I'm like, just get him to sell somehow. Get him to buy Amazon. Like, please, because the money's gone. But that's my little dumb money take for the week. So don't buy Siri.
No, yeah, Siri's out, Amazon in. Who would have guessed it?
Yeah, shocker. Oh God. But right. Yeah, I think that's all I got on my end.
It's time for my favorite part of the show. Like, subscribe, comment. Hey, we're here for you.
Sign up for Siri.
Sign up for Siri. Help this man out. He's putting his daughter through college. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Other than that, well, let's see what this market does in the next few days. See if we consolidate, sell off. Other than that, we'll see you next week.
All right.
If you think you're going to get rich overnight trading, we're not for you. If you don't want to read daily or weekly to improve upon yourself, we're not for you. If you're not interested in saving weekly and building your accounts for the long term, we're not for you. If you're not looking to improve yourself daily, we're not for you. If you do want to build wealth for the long term, read weekly, save weekly, do all the right things for the long game, then we might be for you.